Yulia Zhivtsova. She is in Moscow. She's been protesting this invasion since day one. She's been detained 3 times for her activism. Yulia, thank you for taking some time for us in Canada. It's good to see you. We appreciate this. Can you tell me what the situation is? You were arrested a number of times. What do people need to know about what's happening in Moscow right now?
Well, it is quite difficult to protest because the last time I got detained, I did not even get to the actual protest because I was detained when I was entering subway. So, yeah, but we're still trying to speak out, and even though it is not very effective, maybe, I don't know.
And what's so important, all these arrests that are happening is, people outside of Russia might think everybody supports this war, but as you know very well, there are many, many Russians who do not.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think even the people who look like they may be supporting the war, it's not their real stance. It's just the fact that they don't know how to deal with the reality of it. They don't know how to absorb what is going on. So they're just choosing to probably fall into this propaganda trap. But more and more people are realizing what is going on now, and I think it's all very difficult. So we have to do something, but we don't know what to do. So we go out and protest, we get arrested, and that's our 3 weeks. That's how we live here.
How are you able to get information, Yulia, about what's happening in Ukraine? Because I know a lot of those information sources are now being blocked.
Yeah, that's true. Many information sources have been blocked. But, well, A, we have VPN. B, you can still access some Western media. Personally, I just listen to some bloggers, some podcasts from the Russian bloggers who have analyzed everything and just give a summary of the day, for example. So that's what I do personally.
The message that you and other activists are trying to send to Vladimir Putin, what do you want your government to know here?
I don't think my government is listening to me. Actually, I didn't even vote for that government, so I don't think it's a message to them. It's just a message to myself in the future that well, I don't know if my grandchildren ask me what were you doing the moment Russia was invading the Ukraine. I say, well, I don't know, I was arrested or just something like that.
Are you worried about your own personal safety, with these demonstrations and getting arrested, that if we see more of a crackdown, Yulia, that you could find yourself being put in jail for a longer period of time, that you and your family, your friends, some other activists will be more directly targeted with more aggressive tactics?
It sounds scary, but I don't think it is as scary as the war. I mean, I don't want to go to jail, obviously, but well, you just feel powerless. You can't do anything else. You just, well, it's just like an impulse, just go out and protest. Otherwise, well, I mean, the normal life is gone anyway. I mean, whatever you do, I mean, you go to work and, well, everything is out of place, etc., etc. Everybody's sad. Everybody's talking about what is going on. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think we really have a choice.
I want to ask you about that because, again, it's hard for us in the West to know what's happening within Russia, the conversations that are going on in the streets between families and friends and colleagues. Are people talking about this openly? Are people having conversations about what's happening in Ukraine?
Of course. Well, I don't think there's anything else that people are really talking about.
And when you hear the term special military operation, I gather some people believe that this is a small surgical operation, that it's actually not a widespread war.
Well, I personally don't know very many people who use this term for real. Maybe just, well, we do that sometimes with my friends as a joke because, well, if you don't make jokes, you will just go crazy eventually. But I don't know anybody, really. I don't know anybody who would call the war a military operation for real. So none of my friends, none of my relatives are that. I mean, even my dad, who is very worried about me, and he says that I shouldn't be doing whatever I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. It's not that he says, well, the war is good, I support it. And it's not like that.
The other thing I'm curious about is how far this might go. We've been following the protests in the West closely in different cities. I mentioned 15, maybe 20,000 people who've been arrested. Does that make any difference? You said that you're worried it doesn't. Does the Putin regime look at that and say, okay, well, now we have thousands of people, or do they just continue on? Does it make them rethink anything?
I don't think this is what is going to happen. Really, I think if Russia is to change anytime soon, this will not be because of too many people outside, too many people in the streets. Maybe some oligarchs, some Putin's friends will be annoyed by the fact that they are not able to go abroad and live their luxurious lives somewhere in Europe or wherever, and that might change something. But I personally do not really believe that. I know maybe I'm saying a horrible thing because I'm protesting every week at least, but maybe. I don't think this is what is really going to happen. Maybe I'm wrong. I would like to be wrong, but I don't think it is going to be changed like from beneath.
As a political activist in Russia, I mean, you have, of course, followed what President Putin has done in recent years and the tightening of freedoms that has happened certainly in the last 10 years after the annexation of Crimea. I'm curious, is there any way that he might back down? People are trying to figure out, would he be willing to accept concessions? Will he stop the invasion? Based on what you know, do you see any way that could happen anytime soon, Yulia?
We were all very surprised by the fact that the war started, and most of the people I know are just surprised, well, to say the least, and they're just like, oh my God, he's crazy. So we don't know what to expect, really. We don't know what he's thinking about, what his opinions on what is going. I don't know. This is just like a nightmare. So we just tell jokes that he's mad, he needs to stop. That's it. So what can stop him? What decisions he might take? Well, no idea, obviously.
I have one last question. I mean, just coming on this program with me, you are basically breaking some laws. You're putting yourself at risk. You've called it a war, and you're talking to me live in Canada. Are you not at all worried about your own safety now by doing an interview like this? I'm actually surprised that we're able to connect with you and we can talk like this live on television.
Well, the new reality is very difficult to adjust, and therapists, psychologists say that well, at some point you are coming to terms with the situation, and your brain starts adjusting to the horrors and everything. But I don't want to adjust. I don't want to adjust to some stupid laws that make no sense. I don't want to adjust to that crazy new reality. I don't want to be calling the war something else. So, well, for me, it is the way to stay sane, if I may put it like this.
Yulia, I would love to have you back on the program if we can. Thank you so much. I know it's late and you're putting yourself at risk, but it's great to have you on the show here in Canada and get your perspective out there.